usage, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I don't know if we need to get into this detail.
So does this mean that the amount of things that you can do, very stupid question, does it mean the amount of things that you can do is determined by the size of the storage on your device?
It's a great question.
Amount in what respect? Throughput or?
Gigabytes.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, like, like to a certain degree, if it's a Holochain application, yes. If you're running Holochain locally, yes. If you're running a Holochain application on Holo, no. Right? Or if you set up a system where if I've got a server somewhere, if I've got a network and if I have agents on the network who are providing some service to that network, then I could be storing some of them. Yeah, exactly.
I see.
But I'm not going to store like 400
that's the question.
Marvel movies on my phone.
Yeah.
Because I just can't do that.
Because you can't,
Yeah, period. So we haven't figured out how to like break that.
Okay.
But we're not trying to solve for that.
Right.
So like sometimes when your phone will back up, so here you go. An example is after you tweet, gets copied to your device, others make backups as well, back it up to the system. Sometimes your phone will back up someone else's tweet too. So it's basically like you're gonna back up some of my stuff, I'm gonna back up some of your stuff, and we disperse this load across the network. Right? So when you make that backup, your phone will check to see if any rules are being broken. So this is really important. This is the local validation aspect of it. Right? So I have a set of rules, you have a set of rules. So if you
The same rules.
yeah, the same rules. If they're different rules, it's not the same application. So if you set a tweet that has 400 words and you got I don't know what tweets limit is.
280.
What?
280?
280?
characters.
280, and you send 400, I'm gonna be like, this is breaking the rules, you can't do that. And not consciously, it's just my application knows what the rules are and you've submitted something that doesn't follow them, right? And every place that you submit that to will have the same response, right? So it's a validation happens locally. So this is the work that your device does that offsets your app, is the validation and the storage, and there's really one action basically. Is this approved? I approve it, I store it. So how much work does my phone have to do to run an app? Here's a bunch of math, 140 character tweet, and let's assume that our Twitter, yeah?
Just wondering, does anyone want to do a technical breakout? I have to go pretty soon and I wouldn't mind talking to
Thank you, technical breakout time.
What might be happening in the technical breakout?
I want to talk about query performance in the new version of Holochain because I tried out the proto version and found it very poor, but the Rust version I think is probably a bit better. So keen to
So
Great. Anyone else want a technical breakout? Totally an option, kind of.
no, sorry.
All right, so let's assume our Twitter app is really, really ridiculously popular. This is a Zoolander reference. You're welcome. And every person in the world is on it. That's 7.7 billion people. And that's 1.1 tweets per day per person, right? That's the actual average. And you do 100 backups of each tweet. So blah, 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 blah. And then this is how much you have to store per user per year, which is a little bit less than a 24 megabyte photo. So for 1 year of use, that would mean that your phone is responsible for storing one photo to be able to participate in a Twitter that doesn't spy on you and keep track of you and manage your stuff. That's the cost that goes to each user, right? So that's pretty rad. Okay?
Sorry, that is the cost for your participation in this
That's the
worldly-
cost for your participation in that community is that you're doing that much of the load for the network.
But just to be clear, that's the cost not just for your exchange.
Every
contribution.
individual who's playing this application, this theoretical application, is storing about, and for some people it might be a little more, for some people it might be a little less because of the randomization of the way things get stored. But that's about how much you have to save.
To have full access to all of the...
To participate.
Yeah, okay.
To participate in that application. Yeah.
So just to clarify, because I know we're storing local data on the phone about the tweets, for instance, that we're putting out onto the network, but basically you're saying the entire data of all of the tweets that exist on the network is also distributively shared across.
Yeah, everyone's shit is shared among everyone.
And this is where the BitTorrent stuff
Yeah.
So like it's not just the algorithm that's shared, but it's the totality of the
Everyone has the same thing running on their phone, right? So every time I tweet,
Yeah.
then 100 people on this network are gonna back up my tweet.
I see.
And every time any one of them tweets, 100 people are gonna back up their tweet on their phones.
So the expectation is there's hopefully enough redundancy in the system such that no particular tweet gets missing.
Yeah, and there's more depth to that,
Right.
which is that you set that redundancy
Right.
to your case, unlike blockchain, where the redundancy is
One.
like maximum redundancy, which is not always the best way to do it, right? So, yeah. Okay, so this is like to be cute, and then blockchain. So if you were to do that, that would be 75 million photos for every full node, as opposed to one phone having to store a picture to participate. If everyone's having to actually do everything on a full node. Okay, again, being cute, driving it home a little more, being a jerk. So a caveat is that, yeah, tweets are small, right? A P2P YouTube would need way more storage, and you're not gonna run that on your phone unless this question came up, right? But if you, the point is that if you tried doing that in a blockchain, it would be even that much more impossible. So this is really just about the comparison in this sense, yeah. But the really exciting thing is not the efficiency, it's the new capacities that Holochain allows. And that's how users can remix several apps into one. So you can, the example we use is like ride sharing. So if you had several different ride sharing apps, let's say you had like a couple co-ops and like an Uber-like thing in a city, and you land in the city, you could actually put all of those things in one interface and interact with it directly. And set up bridges to move your identity from one context to another. So I could actually build up reputation in one of those applications as like a really radical, I don't know, passenger, I guess. And then I'd be able to represent myself from one city to the next, as long as there's a bridge built as the same passenger. So you can carry your identity from one application to another, and you can bridge applications because we have a very loosely coupled UI. So you can have several applications in one UI. Skins.
Yeah, that's actually because instead of storing your profile and your transactions with a website with the Uber guys, you have this stuff stored locally on your phone, so you can easily share it with any other service. So that's the idea behind.
So yeah, you carry your history from one app to another, and then, so today the internet puts applications at the center, and we're turning the internet inside out by putting humans at the center. Some use cases are P2P social media, disaster relief coordination, supply chain coordination, P2P currency systems, and there's just lots of things. I want to draw a clear distinction between Holo and Holochain. Holochain is a framework for building peer-to-peer distributed applications, right? It's an open source project. You don't have to pay to use it. We only lose money on Holochain. Only lose money.
It's no token.
Yeah, there's no token. It's just a framework, right? So how are we gonna pay me to continue to drink smoothies so that I can travel around the world and not be dead and talk about these kinds of things with you? And that is, we have Holo, which is a bridge to mainstream users. Okay, so the way that it works is Holochain is this framework. So you build a Holochain application, but in order to run a Holochain application, you have to run Holochain locally, right? So if I want my mom, who is very inept with computers, I think it's a little bit of a point of pride for her actually, to access a Holochain app through her Chrome browser, that's where Holo comes in. So it's basically the Airbnb of web hosting, right? So if you have some extra space, you got some extra bandwidth at home, like you have an extra room, you can rent that out. You've got extra space on your server at home, and you've got some extra bandwidth you're not using, you can rent that out and provide hosting. Does that make sense? It's pretty simple. So then we'll take like a 1% or less fee from the transactions for the app, whoever the app provider is. So someone builds let's say someone builds a Tinder for grandmas, and they want grandmas to use that, and the grandmas aren't going to run Holochain locally, right? then they're gonna have whatever model they have for making income. You can still run businesses on Holochain apps, right? So grandma pays for premium grandma Tinder, and that money goes to the app owner. Then that app owner pays for the hosting. Then the payment goes to someone who's running Holochain locally and hosting on this network.